Uh, we are going to discuss today the how to write a research title proposal. How to write a research title proposal. In undergrad, there are three levels of uh, title, three levels of defense, three kinds of defense, three stages. The first stage is the title defense, outline defense, and the final defense. So this is stage one, research title proposal writing. Uh, Prior to this, your research title must be pre-approved, already approved by your research advisor. Then he will tell you, he will give a go signal for you to write a proposal and present it into a panel. You need to defend your title to the panel, to the research panel. Then the research panel, if you comply on what they required, they will approve your research title. Uh, research title is very important. It could make or break your student career or student life. It can cause you to not to graduate because you chose a research title that is too complicated and cannot be done. Many times I see this experience. I see the experience of some students and also what I see in the graduate school when I was an doctoral student. Most of the time, some of my classmates chose a very complicated title and they cannot do that. Research title is good. It's to high impact. But the problem is they cannot do it. So they drop off from the program. And instead of graduating 3 years, until now they are doing it in their fourth year or fifth year already. So my advice is for you to choose a research title that is doable, something that you can finish within the period. Uh, 1 year in undergrad, 1 or 2 years in undergrad, 2 years in the MS level, 3 years in the doctoral level. You should not go beyond that. Your target must not go beyond that. Target to finish your research should not go beyond that limit. Okay, let's go. The first content of the research title proposal is chapter 1 or introduction. Uh, in some school, uh, the background of the study and the statement of the problem are one or combination. The introduction is combination of background of the study and statement of the problem. In other school, they are separate item. Background of the study first, statement of the problem. The background of the study. You should provide the background. What else should be the content of the background of the study? But the background. Here is an example of this is my research title during my doctoral. You can see that it's titled Heuristic Approach Towards the Development of New Edge Detection Technique for the Picture Extraction of Green Coffee Beans. This is my dissertation, and I will present it as an example. We are talking about the background of the study or statement of the problem. The introduction, uh, uh, in the format of my school, the PIP Quezon City. Introduction is they are together. Background study and statement of the problem are together are together or combined in the introduction. So I'll give you an example of the background of the study. We are talking about title defense, and my example is it's already finished, so it's in the past tense. In the past tense. So this is an example of the background of the study. My title is about how to extract pictures of copy. So I discuss the status of copy in the world market, why it's important, why it's important to study copy, why it's important to do research in copy. That's the background. The first paragraph is about the importance of copy. Second paragraph, as related to my title, are what are the different techniques in classifying coffee beans? How do you extract the pictures of coffee beans? So that's example of the background. Um, what I use in my studies image processing. So I discuss about what are other techniques in extracting coffee bean pictures. So I discuss here the different techniques such as using chemicals, spectroscopy, electronic tongue, electronic nose, image processing. Then I go down, I discuss the disadvantage of other techniques as part of the background. Then I discuss about image processing. This is what general technique in which my research is a part of. I discussed the advantages of image processing. Then Here comes the statement of the problem. The statement of the problem. Must clearly state the research problem. What are the research problem that you want to solve? Do not state the answer. You can see here in my write-ups, here I discuss the problems that I want to solve. The main focus of my study is about uh, picture extraction, and I focus on edge detection techniques. What are the different edge detection techniques and what are their weaknesses? So I cited here the common weaknesses of these three image edge detection techniques. That is the problem that I want to solve. The problem of this Sobel, Prewitt, and Roberts. I discussed they are susceptible to noise, uh, too complex in terms of computation. That are the problems that I want to solve. It is in the last part or last paragraph of the introduction. So that is introduction. You provide the background of your study from top to bottom. Then you discuss the problem that you want to solve on the last paragraph of the introduction. Since this is a title proposal, it should be written in future tense. When you and take note of this, acronyms spell out on pursues. When you use an acronym first time in your write-ups, don't choose an acronym. Spell it out. For example, NIRS. You don't write NIRS right away. The first time you use it in a paragraph, you first spell it out on pursues. Uh, the statement of the problem in some school, introduction is another part, and statement of the problem is another part. But in my school in TIP, they are together. In CABSU or Cavite State University, the format is they are together. Introduction is composed of uh, in CABSU they are separate. One introduction, one part is introduction, the second part is statement of the problem. Must in your statement of the problem, it must clearly state the research problem. Usually ends or towards the end. Do not state the answer. Do not state the answer. It is stated on the last part of the introduction of the problem that I want to solve, and do not state the answer. So let's continue. How do you write your objectives of the study? First, you state the general objective, then the specific objectives. Example, first, state the general objective and the specific objectives. For an example, is objectives of the study. I stated here the general objectives. General objective of the study. Then you state the specific objective. What are the specific objective? The specific objective is what are other things that you want to accomplish as you perform your research. What are other things that you can contribute to the body of knowledge? For example, in my dissertation, I formulate a discriminant. This is a mathematical formula. Then, my main objective is about creating a new algorithm. There is a problem in the former algorithm, and I want to solve it by creating my own algorithm. And as you solve your main objective, there are other problems or other process that you want to achieve that are those are the specific objectives. In order to arrive in the main objective, you need to do the specific objectives. What are the things that will contribute in the achievement of the main objective? That is the specific objective. For example, in order to achieve or solve the main objective, I need to create a mathematical formula. Second, uh, I need to solve the the values that is incorporated in my formula. Objective number three is about is about the performance of my objective. What is the performance of my algorithm? The arrangement of my algorithm that will achieve the optimum output. That's another objective. Other objective is it has something to do with the evaluation. You I compare the output of my algorithm to the previous algorithm in terms of different factors. So that is another specific objective. And what are the achievement of the objective? So I list it. What are the achievement of my algorithm? What are the achievement of my algorithm? What has the what has my algorithm achieved? What are the features that extracted by my algorithm? So I wrote this. That is the specific objectives. So uh, your specific objectives should at least be five. should at least be 5. And notice that in formulating yung objective, it should be measurable. Objectives, specific objectives should be measurable. Is this by using the verb to define? Is this measurable? It's measurable. To determine. To determine. It's another. To calculate. So your specific objective should be measurable because you will discuss this objective in your results one by one. Since this is already only title proposal, but prepare your objective. Prepare your specific objectives to be measurable. Take note on that. Objectives should be measurable. Significance of the study. Uh, why are you conducting the study in the first place? Significance of the study has something to do with the impact of your research. If there is no significance, you don't do that research. Based on application, exhaust. Uh, exhaust means state all the possible significance, all the possible benefits that can be derived when you do your research. Exhaust. State all the significance based on application. Where this, where can this be applied? The significance of the study discuss based on application. Where can this be applied? What is the application of your research? Entities who will benefit, who will be able to benefit once your research is done. So let's go to the sample. Significance of the study. In my dissertation, I stated that the Philippine coffee industry will benefit on my research by, here's the explanation. Extos state who will benefit. I stated that the Philippine coffee industry will benefit, the farmers will benefit, the merchant, and I also stated that if this study is if this study is effective in coffee, then it should be effective also in other crops. So that is the significance of the study. Uh, avoid avoid stating that this will be a reference in the future undergrad students who will conduct the same research. Avoid doing stating such sentences. This, of course, it is after you publish or after completing your research, someone will use it as a reference, and you don't need to specify in the significance of the study. Now let's go to the time and place of the study. State where and when the study will take place. State that this will take in the undergrad, this will how long will this study will be, state where and when the study will take place. Most of the time, uh, this is to indicate the time period of the research. The time period of the research. For example, this is already we are already in the 2020. The common platforms in terms of hardware is Arduino and Raspberry Pi. And we are in this year, and so the reader will understand that 2020, 20 in the year 2020, students are using Arduino and Raspberry Pi for their researches. This will be a reference in the future. This will be a reference in the future on the what is going on during that time. Uh, it's a reference for the reader to understand what is going on. You state that your study is in 2020. What happened in the 2020? We are in the middle of the pandemic. That's why you choose this kind of title. You are in the Philippines. You are in Cavite. You are in Palawan. You want to study coffee because in Cavite, farmers plant coffee. So that's the purpose of time and place of the study. So let's go to so in doctoral, I my manuscript doesn't have a time and place of the study. It's not that important in doctoral. That the time and place is the time is stated on the first page or the cover page. March 2019. But in the undergrad, most of the time it is written the time and place of the study. And it depends on the format of the school. Then we go to the scope and limitations of the study. This is a secret weapon in writing a thesis proposal, thesis or dissertation proposal. It's a secret weapon. You can use it in the defense. Scope. Um, you state here what are the things that are covered in your research. The scope should be the scope. You must state that your study focus only in solving one problem, not a research should solve one problem at a time, not too many problems at a time. So your scope should focus on a single general 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 purpose, or you focus on solving that particular general problem. So in scope, you do not restate the general objective and limitation, things you don't want to cover. Scope and limitations of the study. So you can use this to your advantage. During the final defense, your research panel will ask why you do not include this. It is missing. And in the final defense, you just point out that your approved scope on limitations in the title and outline defense just focus on a single particular problem, in solving a single problem. So you can use this to your advantage in the final defense. Sorry, the coverage of my study is about this. What you're seeking is not included in the scope of my study. You can say that to the panel. But if it's not implied in the title, it's not implied in the title, or it's not stated in the title, some research panel can make your life difficult. They want too much improvement in your title that it becomes unsolvable. There's no solution already because you are not tackling tackling a single problem. Because if you say yes and yes to the suggestion of the panel in terms of scope, then the panel will make the scope very wide. So the technique is, do not always agree, and it will go back to the research problem. If you do not know the research problem that you are solving, the scope will be very, very wide. The panel can make it very, very wide. But if you know the problem right away, the research panel can lead you. Expand your topic. It's very basic. But if you answer, sir, I'm solving a particular problem only. If we add that, that will be a solution to another problem. So, for example, let's go to my example, to my study. Scope and limitation. My study is about coffee beans, green coffee beans. So, it's only green coffee beans. I have already discussed that green coffee beans is very important product. So, if the panel would ask me, why not include cacao? Why not include cacao or other beans? So if you answer yes sir, I will include that. That will be the end of your life. That will, not the end of your life, but you will making yourself you're putting yourself in a very difficult situation. So don't always agree with the panel. That's why it's called depends. They say add pili, coconut, and other agricultural products. If you do that, you will not have time to finish them all. I focus only in green coffee beans because adding other agricultural products means that I will devote too many hours, hours of labor, and I might not finish my study in 3 years, in a 3 year period. So, and another one, the scope is about an algorithm. I am I intended to make my own algorithm. So this is the limitation. I said that I will not, I will focus only in green coffee beans and not on black beans. It will only focus on extracting pictures. I said that it will not extract pictures of other crops. So I said that it is limited only in coffee beans and only particular robusta coffee beans. So you need to barter. You need to barter with the panel. Focus only on the more you can make your research study easier. Gear onto that. Why would you make your research study complex and you are the one doing it? You might not be able to finish it. So focus on making your scope not too narrow but not too wide. So you can look here in my technique here. Loading of samples of the prototype is manual, and automated loading is beyond the scope of study. I already said in my during my defense that the focus of my research is in edge detection in image processing and not in mechanical part. So if the panel suggests why why make your prototype automated in terms of loading, but it is not the scope, but it is not your specialization. I am an electronics engineer, not a mechanical engineer, and automating the prototype is um, within the within the boundary of mechanical engineering. So why would I do things in the mechanical engineering when I am an electronics engineer? So it's a waste of effort, and you're doing things that is not within your bounds. So your defense can be, I am an electronics engineer, sir. I am not a mechanical engineer, so my study will focus on on electronics engineering, not on mechanical engineering. Again, use the scope and limitation of your study into a secret weapon or a shield, a defense. Why would you do a doctoral level of a research study when you are only in the undergrad? Why would you do an MS level study when you are only an undergrad or vice versa? And and another one thing is you cannot another thing is you cannot pull the panel. If you are an MS level and you want to do an undergrad level thesis, that will not that will not push through. That will not push through. If you are an MS level, do an MS level thesis. Undergrad level, do an undergrad level thesis. The scope should be in your level. MS level should be within that scope. The problem that you are solving should be in the scope of MS level, not in the undergrad level. If you are undergrad student, the scope should be within the bounds of undergrad level only. So let's go to definition of technical terms. So this is important because if a layman or someone who is not an electronics engineer, civil engineer will read your manuscript, will read your work, they will understand what you defined those terms in the definition of terms. Define the technical terms so that a layman or layman reader will understand it. So I think I included it in the second portion uh, in chapter 2. It depends on your school. Some school, the definitions of terms is in chapter 1. Other school, the definition of terms is in chapter 2. So define the technical terms. The examples are here. Example, algorithm. I define Anaconda. This is a software, graphical user interface. So I define these things in the definition of terms. Another thing is you don't copy paste this. What is defined in a web page, you don't copy paste this. You rephrase it into your own words because your manuscript will be subjected to plagiarism plagiarism detection software known as such as Turnitin. And if you copy paste your definition of terms, this will the software will know that you just copy paste it. So in doing technical terms, you must repraise it or reward it, something that is not similar as the wordings of the original author. Take note of that. It should not, uh, the definition of the technical terms should not be copy paste. Define it in your own words. So we go now to the chapter 2 review of related literature. Also included. This is also included in your title research proposal. Research title proposal. How do you write the review of related literature? Rephrase the findings of other researchers that are related to your study. Start with general down to specific. So how do I wrote my RRL? So chapter 2 is review of related literature. It is also known as the theoretical framework. Theoretical framework because how do you arrive on tackling that particular problem? So you must have reference. Uh, you don't think of a problem. It just uh, it just click on your mind. I want to solve that problem. That that is not the way in research. Most of the problem here in research is uh, comes from comes from already solved problem. This problem is already solved. Then that researcher already solved this particular problem, but that solution has some still have some weaknesses. So that is another area for research. The weaknesses of the solutions provided in a completed research can be a source of research for other person. So research never stops. Solution is already found out, but that solutions have some weaknesses. So another researcher will dig into that problem. It's another problem. The cycle goes on and on. Solution, but that solution still has a problem. So begin with the general. So my study is about copy. So I discuss copy. I discuss image processing. I wrote those studies already done in the past. I discussed the algorithm, the previous algorithm that I want to surpass, or previous algorithm that still has a problem. The Roberts, the Prewitt, and the Sobel. So I discussed that in my review of related literature. What are the problems encountered in those algorithms? First one is the noise. So noise that is part in edge detection. So I discussed that. I included that in my review of related literature. So extracted pictures, I included that also. So that's the review of related literature. Chapter 2 is the theoretical framework. I included the concept of the study, the conceptual framework of the study. In other school, this is the concept study is in the chapter 3 or in the methodology. So what is your concept? Then we go to the methodology. What are since this is only a since this is a title, what are those materials that you want to use in the conduct of your research? So you include that, and also the methods in the chapter 3. Let's go with my example. This is the in other school the methodology is called operational framework. One is theoretical framework, the RRL or chapter 2, and then chapter 3 is operation framework or how will you conduct your research? So materials. What are the softwares that you will use if you will use any? What are the hardwares that you will use? What are the specifications? You can include that. What are the methods? For the methods, you start with the design considerations. What are the things that you are considering in the conduct before conducting your research? So this is chapter 3, methods. So in these methods, I stated how I arrive at my algorithm through the technique using heuristic approach. So that is my method. And then you go to the results and discussion. Chapter 4 is not part of the title defense write-ups. So you just have to go from chapter 1 to chapter 3. So That's all for writing your that's all you need in writing your research title write-ups. You will depend it in the pan you will depend your research title in the panel of panel of faculty members. This is to gauge. That depends is to gauge whether you what you will do is whether you know what you will do for your research. The the hardest part is finding a problem. What is the problem that you what is the problem that you want to solve in your research? This is the hardest part in coming up with a title. So how do you find a problem? You can find a problem through literatures. You study the work of other researchers and the weaknesses of the solutions that they have provided. So that's one way of finding a research problem. Methods and materials. Um, since it is a working title, what you say in the defense can be changed. There's still provision for changes. There's still provision for changes, or it is a working title. Just coordinate with your advisor on the things that are working and not working. Then your advisor will advise the solution. So it's very important that a student will always consult his advisor, his or her advisor. It's very important because if you if this thing is not working and you just go right away, and what happened is you are doing um, a solution to your not to your original problem that you mentioned in the title defense. So I've seen students doing like that. It's not working. They just change it right away without consulting their advisor. And during the final defense, sometimes they need to scrap all and start all over again because that the original problem that are supposed to be solved is now changed to another one. So if you can't do the title that you propose, tell your advisor right away the title first, then it will go to outline, then we go to the actual research of doing the hardware uh, and finding the solution to your objectives. And you found out that uh, it is not working. Your approach is not working, and the objectives are not achievable. You need to you need to be brave and say that it's not achievable. I want to change title. There is also a provision like that. But before you do that, you need to consult your advisor. And you don't change your research title right away. If you are changing, You need to present it again to the research panel. You need to have it approved again in the by the research panel. So I think I think that's all. That's all that you need to do in writing a research title proposal. That those are the content what I mentioned, what I discussed of writing a research proposal. So that's all. Thank you very much for listening.